Dear friends, in light of the incredible inspiration and awakening, his oididus, that has swept across the Jewish world in the last couple of months with a powerful yearning and excitement and confidence and bitachon in the coming of Mashiach, primarily felt and led by the Nashim Tzidkaniyas, by the righteous women of the generation. Just February 26th, almost spontaneously, through an amazing, miraculous occurrence, there were women that unified across the world in over 80 places or 90 places. And there were about 20,000 women from all groups, from all affiliations. All were unified with a powerful achdus, with a simple yearning and confidence that Mashiach is coming, dancing for the Geula, making tambourines, and preparing for the redemption, just like it was by Yetzias Mitzrayim. Again, just last week, Chaf Hei Adar, the birthday of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the women in Chabad primarily made gatherings in over 100 places in the spirit of Achdus and in unity to welcome Mashiach, in conjunction with the incredible occurrences that have been happening in the world, in which we experience and see in an unbelievable way of his hapcha chashucha l'nehura, how darkness and the very darkness of the world is being converted to light. In the last 2 years, after, if you remember, where we were standing in 2015 and in 2016, or the beginning of 2016, when the world was ready to tear Eretz Yisrael apart, when we were told by the 70 nations that we're already having a conference in Paris, the conference on Jerusalem, in which it was being told to us that we must deal with the Palestinian problem. And the only resolution is a two-state solution, Rahman al-Islam, with splitting Yerushalayim, which was clearly an indication of a powerful spiritual war, of that which is standing against the coming of Mashiach, as the Rebbe pointed out in Tafshin Nun Aleph in the Sikha of Parshas Bereishis, that this is a plan and a ganging up against the Gilui of Mashiach in the world. Lama Rakshu Goyim, the Rebbe then pointed to the second kapitel in Tehillim. Why are the nations congregating? Ulu'umim Yahegu Rik, that nations are planning and are speaking emptiness. And the Rebbe said that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be Rik. It's going to be reik and empty. It's not going to lead to anything. Take a look, who would have believed that 2 years later there's a whole different conversation happening in the world? Now the conversation is which other piece in Eretz Yisrael is going to be annexed? The declaration on the Golan Heights, which for such a long time has been called occupied territories. We've had the declaration of Yerushalayim. The United States, the leader, we know how much the Rebbe gave credence to the United States, and the United States government, and the United States president, has already moved its embassy to Yerushalayim. Many governments and many other nations are thinking about it. Brazil is thinking about it. Honduras came along. The door has broken open. Unbelievable transformation. When the world ganged up on the Jewish people to sign a devastating deal with Iran, a nation that was bent to the destruction of Eretz Yisrael, a nation that claimed death to Israel, chas v'shalom, death to the Jewish people, and the world has given them the ability to build their nuclear bombs, chas v'shalom, to be able to execute. Chas v'shalom, what it says in the Megillah, lahashmed u'lahareg, chas v'shalom. And what happened? That deal is in shambles. This past week it was announced, again, something so shocked, something so unexpected, that part of their military, the Revolutionary Guard, is considered a terrorist organization. The PLO, their offices in Washington have been shut down. Their consulate in Jerusalem, that was the direct line throughout all the years to the State Department, that backhandedly has been supporting them, funding a PLO, has been shut down. UNRWA, which was this organization, again, for these Palestinian refugees that America has been pouring millions of dollars, has been defunded by the United States. UNRWA can possibly be read, UNRWA, we are bad. And to think how that's all happened unbelievably in the last 2 years. The change, the transformation, nothing less than a metamorphosis. And then the elections in Israel, again, when everything has been predicted the other way, that things will move towards the left. The leftists in Eretz Yisrael have been decimated. Literally, the party that was in competition to Netanyahu, the blue and white party, is a centrist party, which means far more to the middle. Not perfectly good, but so much more to belief in Eretz Yisrael and some degree of belief in Eibishter and Torah mitzvahs and so on and so forth. The extreme left of Eretz Yisrael, in terms of the Meretz party, the Labour Party, have hardly 10 seats when they used to have 40 seats. It's incredible. The world has changed, and Kedusha and holiness is in a swing of victory. Now, for this to happen, in a time when everything was going downhill, since Gimel Tammuz, a great, great darkness came to the world, and we felt it, and it threatened our emunah, our hiskashras, our belief in Moshe Emes v'Torasei Emes, that it's absolutely true. V'davar echad midvarav lo yashuv reikam, one word, one utterance of our holy Rebbe, who claimed and said clearly that he's not speaking just as a tzaddik, as a nasi ador, that itself is enough, but said that he's speaking words of nevuah, words of prophecy. And the Rebbe said clearly that he is a navi, and his nevuah is close to the nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Take a look in Shoftim Nun Aleph, see what the Rebbe said. And after Gimel Tammuz, we've seen a tremendous darkness, which brought us Oslo, it brought us 9/11, it brought the pullout of Gush Katif, Rahman al-Itzlan. It brought all the antifadas that were coming, one after another. It brought such a darkness leading up to what we just saw in the previous administration, literally a war against Kedusha, against holiness, trying to break morality in the world, to destroy any remnant of morality that's left, chas v'sholem, to try to break down the institution of marriage, to try to create, to uproot any expression of religion and faith in the Eibishter. All of this was being fought, and how the entire thing was transformed and changed to be exactly the way the Rebbe wanted it. The Rebbe, who has been the only voice who spoke for the entire world and demanded Shleimus Haaretz, wholesomeness of Eretz Yisrael, Shleimus Ha'am, wholesomeness of the Jewish people, Shleimus HaTorah, the completion of Torah, the perfection of Torah. And here we have, when I came to Lubavitch, I was learning Chassidus, and there was one particular teacher that I was very, very inspired by. And he used a very, very, very strong mashal, and that I've always, connected to. He spoke about our Yiddishkeit in terms of a relationship with the Eibishter, a relationship like compared to a marriage. And he said something really, really meaningful. He said, in a marriage, if you go into a marriage with the idea that you are going to be the perfect husband, and instead of listening to your wife, you're busy being a perfect husband, you're not going to have a marriage. So for example, if you decide, because you went to chassan classes, or you read some kind of a book in which it says that you should bring your wife roses, and you get stuck on roses when she told you she doesn't like roses. She wants tulips. And you tell her you're not supposed to like tulips, you're supposed to like roses. Or even if you tell her that 20 years ago you liked roses, and she says, yeah, but I don't want roses, I would appreciate a bouquet of tulips. And that idea was applied to the relationship with the Eibishter, to the significance of Torah and mitzvahs. That we can't tell the Eibishter what to want, to serve him how we think he should be served. We have to listen to him. So we were given instructions. We were given instructions in Nun Aleph and in Beis, clear instructions after the Rebbe's powerful, powerful sikha that shook us up to the core. When the Rebbe said that the final avodah of bringing Mashiach is ours, he's not going to do it, it's ours. But it's not like the Rebbe just walked off and didn't help us. The Rebbe spent almost an entire year, 11 months, where the Rebbe was giving us guidance and incredible, incredible sikhs. But because the light in those sikhs, as the Rebbe referred to the light of Mashiach as Oireis to Toyu, the lights of Toyu was so bright we couldn't look at that light. It was too intense. So either we just didn't learn it, or even if we learned it, we kind of skimmed over it and thought the Rebbe is saying the same thing in every sikha, again and again. Yeah, Mashiach is here, Mashiach is coming, so on and so forth. But if you take those sichos and you learn them carefully, you see that there's an entire series of instructions, incredible instructions for the time that we're in. Amongst those instructions, I would say there's 4 primary instructions. They're detailed, but 4 primary instructions. First, the instruction is that we must take responsibility for Mashiach. We have to make it our personal business. That Lahavili Moisa Mashiach has to be Kol Yemei Chayach, that has to be the energy in our life. We need to become obsessed with bringing Mashiach. That was the first instruction. The second instruction is we have to start living Lichyos in Mashiach. We have to start living in the days of Mashiach, since Mashiach is already in the world, and we have to start living in that reality. The third instruction was that we have to be Makabel Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. We have to bring our communities to be Makabel Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. And the fourth instruction is that we have to open up our eyes and see how the entire world is Geuladig. These were the 4 primary instructions. But the one that the Rebbe spoke to the Shluchim, when the Rebbe had Chayesaren Nun Beis, when the Rebbe gave his last instructions that we heard to the Shluchim, we're not talking about something that the Rebbe said quietly to a person. The Rebbe spoke to all the Shluchim, and he had it printed afterwards on Mugadig Asicha. It's printed in Lakutis in Sefer Asichas Nun Beis. Each and one of us should learn it again and again. In that Sicha, the Rebbe told us that the only job left to educate the world about Mashiach, so that we can make the entire world be Makabel Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. If you learn the Sikha honestly, and you look also at the Sikha the week before that, Parshas Vayera, and in Chayesara, and in Parshas Toldos, those 3 weeks, you will see clearly that the Rebbe is not talking about some abstract accepting of a Mashiach energy that's in the world, that's in the universe. The Rebbe clearly says that what he's talking about. He says that the world, that in every generation there is a person who is ready to redeem the Jewish people, who is worthy out of his righteousness to redeem the Jewish people. And when the time comes, the Eibishter will reveal to him that he is the Goyel, that he is the Redeemer. Now the Rebbe goes on and the Rebbe says, since the Friediger Rebbe has said already that we finished all our avodah, and Asida Reinu has told us that we've done everything, and Asida Reinu, who is the only Shliach in our generation, who is the only Mashiach in our generation, has said that we've done everything, it's understood that his shlichus to redeem the Jewish people has begun already. But the only thing left is that he needs our help. He needs that people should rally behind him, be makabel panav, to be rally behind him, so that he can complete his shlichus, based on the idea that we learn in Chassidus. This is what all the Rosh Hashanah Maimarim are based on again and again and again. Ein melech b'loi am. There is no king without a people declaring his kingship and submitting themselves to him. Declaring it, as the Rebbe explained so many times, verbally, with their mouth, articulating it, claiming it, not hiding it, but saying it proudly and strongly. This is their pride. They belong. They're the subjects of the king. The Rebbe asked of us to do that. In order to do that, we have to educate the world about Mashiach. When I came to Lubavitch, I had a hard time. One of the things that I didn't understand is Lubavitch is so obsessed with Moshe Rebbe. I mean, I also grew up in a Chassidish house and in a Yiddish home, and I had a perfect, beautiful Jewish education. And I knew about Moshe Rebbe. Moshe Rebbe was 3,500 years ago, so why would we be so excited about Moshe Rebbe? Didn't take too long till I figured out when Lubavitchers talk about Moshe Rebbe, they're talking about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And it bothered me. I had a hard time dealing with that. But then I realized as I got a little closer and started studying and learning that it's not coming from Lubavitch Chassidim, it's coming from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. That the Rebbe is saying that the Nasi Hadoir is Moshe Rabbeinu, again and again. And once it became clear to me that the Rebbe is an unparalleled tzaddik and goyin and speaks the absolute truth, so I realized this is the Yemes. And then when I researched this a little bit, and we saw the idea that the Zohar says there's pashtus of the Moshe b'chol davar, there's this pashtus of Moshe. There's some spark of Moshe in every generation and the leader of the generation. But you know what the Zohar says in Tikkun Samach Tes, in Tikkunei Zohar, the Zohar says, Reb Shimon over here, Zakar the dara the hayas gal yabe, the asid kula haylis chacha. Everything is going to be renewed al yadad the Moshe through Moshe Rabbeinu b'soif yamaya b'dara basra in the last generation. That means in the last generation, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to return to the world b'poyel. Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be machadish the entire existence in the last generation. I ask you, my dear friends, brothers and sisters, Lubavitch Chassidim across the world, who is the Moshe Rabbeinu? Who is this Moshe Rabbeinu? Is there another Moshe Rabbeinu you know? Are we talking about something that's still going to happen sometime in the future? who spoke the word of the Eibishter with absolute certainty, without flinching, with the strength of Moshe Rabbeinu, who cared about the mitzvahs that were given at Har Sinai like Moshe Rabbeinu, who executed what Moshe Rabbeinu told us, that we have to reach out to all of humanity, all the Bnei Noach. So if the Rebbe is Mamish Moshe Rabbeinu, can we chas v'shalom say or even think that the last year of Sichos, the Rebbe wanted to do something, he was hoping, he was pushing for Mashiach, he made an attempt, but his words are not absolutely emes. My dear friends, the question today is the Lubavitcher Rebbe 100% true? Or is the Lubavitcher Rebbe 99.9999 true? If the Sichos of Nun Aleph and Nun Beis, and let's not kid ourselves, it's clear in those Sichos the Rebbe says who Mashiach Tzidkenu is. I know this became a taboo subject to us, but realize that this is a klippa. This is something that's obscuring, it's hiding, it's chas v'shalom. This should never have happened. Because the Rebbe said clearly, learn honestly the kuntras of the Rebbe that the Rebbe gave out, Beis Rabbeinu Shebabavel, I'm sorry, that kuntras. Learn Parshas Mishpatim, Nun Beis. Learn Parshas Chayesara Nun Beis carefully, Vayera. Learn the Sicha Shoftim when the Rebbe talks about a prophet. I mean, obviously, we're not used to prophecy. We haven't had prophecy for 2,500 years. Suddenly we have to deal with prophecy, with the emes of prophecy. And you should know that in this one tiny little percentage of a point of 100% truth or almost truth is the entire nisayon of our generation. Do we fully believe with absolute emes that every word is emes? And if that's the case, we were given clear instructions of what we need to do. We might have blinked and 27 years passed by, but nothing changed. Nothing changed. Maybe all we need to do is what we were given the instructions that we should do that. So in light of all the unbelievable developments, and where we see that when we thought chas v'shalom that the Rebbe, something happened, Kizeh Moshe Ish, Asher Eliyanu Mitzrayim, Lo Yadanu Mahoyelo. We don't know what happened. This powerful march towards the Geula kind of was aborted, chas v'shalom, went off. And we realized that that's not true, because our Rebbe went behind the scenes as a single warrior and transformed the entire world. Does anybody have a suffix who's behind it? Putin is the Rebbe's man. Trump is doing everything the Rebbe wanted and him to do. His son-in-law and daughter connected to Chabad. In Eretz Yisrael, it's the Rebbe's man, Netanyahu, obviously he's not perfect. But in every single thing you see clearly who's behind it all. To those who might be listening to this and wondering, what do you mean? Of course, you don't believe in the Eibishter, you're putting it on the Rebbe. So let me put it simple words. If you learn Derech Metzasecha, mitzvahs minui melech, the mitzvah of appointing a king. So the Tzemach Tzedek explains, the idea of a Jewish king is that in the Jewish king is enclosed the power of the Eibishter's kingship. God's kingship in the world. Kil Hashem hamlucha moishel bagoyim, the Eibishter's malchus in the world and dominance over the nations is abstract. It's not concrete until it takes form and funneled through a human being who's betachlis habitul, who's in the state of complete nullification and surrender to the Eibishter, and therefore through his neshama becomes revealed the Eibishter's malchus, as it says explicitly in the pasuk, Vayeshev Shloimo al Kisei Hashem, that Shloimo HaMelech sits on the throne of the Eibishter. So it is, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, the Eibishter's malchus funneled through Melech mi Beis David, and every Lubavitcher knows who Melech mi Beis David is. We have that amunah, we have that faith, we have that inside of us. And the Rebbe told us that in order for his power, the power of Mashiach Tzidkenu to reveal itself, since Mashiach is the Yechida of the Jewish people, we all possess within ourselves a nitzutz of Mashiach. And when we reveal our nitzutz, it empowers the Yechida Klalis in Beis Nisan Tafshin Mem Ches. And the Rebbe says that empowerment comes in the form of us aligning ourselves, casting our vote for Mashiach Tzidkenu, by us saying we believe that and we submit ourselves and we recognize who you are. The Rebbe said clearly that it's our declaration of Yechi Melech. So now, we have an opportunity now, it's Yud Aleph Nisan next week. We're all familiar with the Rebbe's Maimer of Anon Nasev Malka, I choose the king. Of course, it's referring to the Eibishter, but the Jewish people choosing the Eibishter, but the Rebbe put it out for Yud Aleph Nisan. So here is a tremendous opportunity for all of us to make a bold move. Without boldness, nothing moves. This president of the United States has been doing bold moves, and it was all this boldness that caused a complete shattering of the darkness and is transforming us and leading us in unbelievable positivity towards Eretz Yisrael, towards the Geula. We need to be a little bold. Let's not be afraid anymore. Are you going to say, well, we've done it already. Some people have already declared and said and signed the petitions. My dear friends, that is and has always been seen as a fringe part of Lubavitch. It's only a fringe group. Is it a covet for our Rebbe, for Melech HaMoshiach, to be a ruler and a king over a fringe group? And you say, well, we all believe, but we have it in our heart. Yeah, but we have to declare it. We have to open. Now has come the time for us to openly reveal it's not a fringe. It's all of us. And without a shadow of a doubt, that declaration and that empowerment will give koiches, because that's the way it works, to new oiz alekim, give strength to godly powers in the world. Vayitin oiz lamalkoi, we have to give strength to our melech. So what I'm asking, this petition that we're sending out now is going to be delivered to the Rebbe. We're going to deliver to the Rebbe a petition. And that petition is going to have all of our signatures. Let's have thousands and thousands and thousands of signatures. It's not public. No one has to know that you signed. Sign your name, sign your mother's name, and be makabel upon yourself. Do the mitzvah, the ultimate mitzvah. Soim tasim alecha melech. Accept the melech upon yourself. Let's do it all together. Let's give the tremendous power to our Rebbe. And then I have no shadow of a doubt that we will see melech biyafyoi techzena inenu. Our eyes will see the full hisgalos of Melech HaMoshiach for le'enei kol ha'amim, le'enei kol the entire world. And how good would it feel when the Rebbe is going to be giving from Koishal Bracha of Koisai the David Malka Mashiach, and the Rebbe is going to be giving, and we're going to be able to walk by and know that our name was on that reshima, on that list that was handed to the Rebbe, in which it said, I voted for you. Ana Nasev Malka, I am choosing the king. L'chaim, l'chaim l'bracha, and Moshiach now.